Welcome to Ray Recommends. My name is Raymond Antrobus. This week I've been reading Emily Berry's Stranger Baby, out on Faber on February the 2nd. Emily Berry, she won a Forward Prize for her first collection, Dear Boy, which I really enjoyed. So I've really been looking forward to getting into this. Also, what I think is great about Emily Berry is she's just been appointed as the editor of Poetry Review, which is one of the leading literary magazines in the UK. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how she curates the new generation and the new landscape of poetry going forward. Emily Berry lost her mother to cancer when she was young, and this poetry collection examines that using, I guess, the language of an inner child, but also an inner adult. And she doesn't have any kind of religious belief, so that also adds to the kind of difficulty of finding a way to make sense of such a dramatic and painful loss. There's a poem in here that I'd like to highlight. It's called Picnic. It's the second poem in the book. Watching the sea is like watching something in pieces, continually striving to be whole. Imagine trying to pick up a piece of the sea and show it to a person. I tried to do that. The sea is a book-length metaphor in this collection. There's a kind of Whitman-esque, forever endlessly rocking movement in a lot of the poems. And those poems sink and float and drift and rain down and across the pages. And sometimes I do find that they drift away from the dangerous shore where the book begins in Sign of the Anchor, where she says, I stood at the dangerous shore, sleeves rolled up to my shoulders, my fringe lifted in the wind in a long salute, and I pushed it back. Live your wish, said the sea. There is also a lot of apologies throughout the book and in a lot of the poems, and I found that interesting because it's a very British sensibility that she adds to the style of the book. And even thinking about that, I think she's kind of poking fun at herself and at that kind of British modesty, because she is consciously writing about this difficult thing. Berry channels her younger self, but also a drunken self, to qualify her pain. In one poem, Drunken Bellarmine, she writes, I want to be loved for the wrong reasons. I mean, I want to be hated for the right reasons. I have been lonely. Every time I say the word I am ashamed. When I say I want, I am triply ashamed. I want my shame to be a kind of proof that deduces the world, and that's the worst shame of all. There is also a kind of clever underlined reference to narcissism, staring at his own reflection in the water, noticing, being conscious of the self, of the beauty and the pain, and questioning whether that pain has the same weight even though you have noticed it. And that can be a difficult place to write into. There are many ideas that our best writing doesn't come from our consciousness but our subconsciousness. I was also thinking a lot about Denise Riley's collection that she published last year called Say Something Back. It's a really moving collection that I find myself returning to. In that book, Denise Riley has sections which she calls ghost poems, where you're speaking to or addressing a dead person who can't say something back, but you try and imagine what they are saying or trying to say, or what they would say. And so it did actually make sense to me when I got to the end of Stranger Baby, and I did see that Denise Riley is credited as an editor and as someone who gave Emily a lot of encouragement. So in that way, I see this book as a bit of a collaboration book almost between Emily Berry and Denise Riley. Oh, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still very much Emily Berry. How You Might Know Me by Sabrina Mahfouz, published on Outspoken Press. Sabrina does a lot of fantastic work with poetry, with theatre, and also speaking out for women working in the sex industry and across the world. In fact, I saw one of the plays that she wrote last year called Chef, which to this day is still one of the best spoken word theatre productions I've seen. Sabrina was also listed as a top 7 writer of colour to read and watch out for in 2017 by Faber. So in this collection, I'd say there are no apologies in this book. There's just monologues of these 4 women working in the sex industry. But I'd say that there's a self-affirmation in their voices. And I think that there are 4 different voices and every one of them is skillfully different and explored. Sabrina, gets the last poem in the book. And the last poem is called The Most Honest Job I've Ever Had. The most honest job I've ever had is this one, to be honest. To be honest is a phrase I've picked up in this country and have started to use almost obsessively. I have picked up many phrases. It is a country full of phrases, but there is something particular about to be honest that gets me, pulls me to it, hypnotizes me with its complete lack of irony in a country full of irony. To start a sentence, a conversation, a confession with the phrase, to be honest, what it does is suggest that usually you are not. There Was and How Much There Was by Zeina, Hashem, Beck. Published by Smith, Doorstep, one of the laureates' choice, chosen by Carol Ann Duffy. These poems also speak urgently in the voice of women pushing back against ideas of oppression and assumptions and the role of women and basically the circumstances of patriarchy. Beck is a Lebanese multi-award winning poet. Every poem in this book is an absolute belter. I'll just give you an example of just one of these brilliant poems. Why I Hate Silent Movies. I hate the heat because it reminds me of the first time he slapped my face. We were sitting on the sofa and he said he did it because it was too hot outside. Later he cried and kissed my feet, said he would never. I hate flowers because after he punched me, he got me ice and 5 bouquets, roses, lilies, carnations, tulips and freesias. I hate jewelry because he bought me a diamond necklace when he took me out of the hospital, said love me, love me, love me. I hate silent movies because they resemble my pain back then, all glare and no sound. Brilliant. So, Ray recommends.